lit, yeah. I just made triple my rent, yeah. Gotta flip, yeah, you rich, yeah. I got 100 NFTs on my phone. Pineapple, the juice, double cup, styrofoam. Really, I don't see no man, I get bread when I'm on. Don't care what they say, cause they pockets dead wrong. I just made a flip, yeah, flip, yeah. I just made a flip, yeah, rich, yeah, rich, yeah. Now we crypto rich, yeah, sick, yeah. Haters, they so sick, yeah, flip, yeah. Make that money 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 flip, yeah.
What's up, my homies and fellow NFT collectors? It is not a VV drop day. We are just chilling and chatting, as the thumbnail says. We're going to talk about politics today. A lot of people in my chats have been talking a little politics, and I'm always like, no, we can't talk about that in here. It's too controversial. They're like, you should just have a stream one day and talk about politics. And I was like, maybe. And then today, as I was telling my Discord homies, the kiddo has an academic team meet, so I don't have to pick him up till 5 o'clock. I got some extra time. I got a couple hours to chill and hang out. And I ain't got nothing else to do, so let's do it. Let's talk some politics. What's up, Mr. Marquez? Mr. Marquez is first in the chat gate, even on a day we don't have a drop. That's how committed he is. He's also on that COVID gate, though, so I hope you and your wife are feeling better soon. What's up, Lil Palms? What's up, Garrett? What's up, Matt Smith, Spider? Like I said, we're talking politics today, American politics and world politics. I do have a little bit of knowledge. I haven't been, no sound. Oh. All right, my bad. Maybe it was your speakers. What's up, Firefly Odyssey? What's up, Stephen Aid? Freeing up funds to load up on gems. I've been loading up on gems myself. I'm up to over 700. I don't know exactly what it is that I'm going to be purchasing with those gems. That's a good question right there, red pill or blue pill. So let's talk about it. Like I was saying, it's an AMA style chat, so you guys can kind of lead the conversation, but I will put my opinion out there about abortion in the U.S. because I know that's a big thing, a big subject that just has been in the news a lot lately because the Supreme Court, of course, leaked their opinion that's going to overturn Roe v. Wade. And I've always been pro-choice. I always felt like, it's the other person, it's the person's body, so it's their choice. But I always feel like big issues like this, you can tell what's right and wrong by looking at how the society reacts to it. So if you look at back when abortion was illegal, and you look at the years, and the year that it actually ended up being legalized was like the 1980s. And at the time, let me pull up some charts. At the time, crime was going up. And it was going up like really, really high. If you look at all these charts, they're all the same charts up until like 92 or 94. And so when Clinton was taking office, everybody's like, we don't know what he's going to do because the crime is just skyrocketing. But then all of a sudden, all the crime rates dropped. Of course, people try to give Clinton the credit for it. But what really happened is that was about 15 or 16 years. Like you can, I guess you can't see that chart. Let me click this. So what happened is about 16 or 17 years after they legalized abortion, the crime rates fell because what happens is if abortion is illegal, then you have a bunch of unwanted kids, and most unwanted kids are unloved kids, and a high percentage of unloved kids turn into criminals. So having abortion illegal creates more crime, and you can see that even in the charts and the statistics if you compare it to the time that abortion was illegal. So to me, like, society responded to that and showed you what the correct way to do abortion is. I know that's a hard topic though, and I'm not a female, and of course I would never, if I was married to a woman and she was pregnant, I would never even consider having an abortion or allowing her to have an abortion. But then again, it's her body, and if we were separated or something and she wanted to do that, it would be more of her choice than it would be mine, in my opinion. What's up, BE? What's up, Tino Tinda? What's up, Joker Dad? Jeff Barker says, I used to think people need to be involved in politics. Now everyone is. That's a good point. Like I said, I was really deep into politics for a long time, and for the last year, really since I got into NFTs around that time. And actually what happened was I lost my Twitter account, which was very politics based and had a lot of followers. So after that, I just kind of stopped watching politics, and it's a lot nicer when you're not paying attention to it. It really is. It's a lot less stressful, and when people talk politics online, it always gets into arguments. Garrett says 700 gems will get you a partner statue here in a minute. I am trying to save up for a partner statue. I don't think I'll be able to get it for 700, but maybe if I get to 5K, it might possibly drop that low. I don't know. Matt Smith says he's here from New Mexico, and it's staying legal here no matter what. Yeah, I know it's going to be like a state thing now, but that's kind of crazy that a woman will have to like drive to a whole different state to get an abortion. But then you get into the whole scientific side, the doctor side of when is too late to do an abortion, and then you have to really like be a doctor to know that stuff. Certain doctors probably disagree with each other on what's the right time to allow abortions, and I don't know enough about it to really have an opinion on the timing. Joe3 says, let's go save gems for Star Wars drops in the month. I do think a Star Wars drop is coming. That's another reason why I'm not buying right now. Malding says, what's up? Saw your Star Wars uncommon on the market yesterday. I took that off, but I did sell one of my uncommons, but I had 6 of them, so I still have 5. I'm trying to get some of them gems up. Golden Retriever took the blue pill. BE says, abortion is not about killing, it's about a woman's body and her control of it. Yeah, I know a lot of people feel like abortion is murder, so whenever you hear somebody saying that it's okay to murder a baby, of course I can see why they get that reaction if that's the way you look at it. It's all about how I guess you look at it, really. Greedy one in the house, Joey Donuts says, simple and plain, people should be able to do whatever they want. Oh, that's going a bit far. You can't do whatever you want. What if you want to like just murder your neighbor and steal their house for no reason? You shouldn't be allowed to do that. What's up, Jerry from the Palace, Crypto Boy? Did I get the hero wait list? No, I did not. I'm going to be going in the public drop for hero tomorrow. I'm going to try to get it. Yeah, that's what Chris Duke's talking about. I'm going to try to get the public drop. It's going to be tough because I think over 50% of the packs are going out to people on the allow list. But I'll give it a try. I'm pre-registered. What's up? Got to get the bag. Brian Salim says pro-choice with abortion, but not with vaccines. Hypocritical from both sides, but not with vaccines. Ooh, I mean, I think I am a little more pro-choice about vaccines. I don't think they should be mandatory. And I know probably people on the left who are pro-choice would probably say that maybe vaccines should be mandatory. But again, yeah, it's your body. I'm more pro-choice on the vaccine thing. I'm not vaccinated myself. Only because they didn't have the Pfizer one. I had to have the Pfizer one. I wasn't going to get the Johnson & Johnson crap. I didn't trust Johnson & Johnson. Marquez says, I agree it's up to women to choose. David, you said everyone say RIP to gyms by the end of the month. What does that mean? What did David you say? Do I need to check out his Twitter? What's up, BE says, let's keep rights and not take them away, especially when we've had them for 50 years. It does feel like we're going backwards a lot. But I mean, it feels like they're definitely going to be getting rid of Roe v. Wade, but it isn't really making abortion illegal completely like it was, I guess, in the 70s and the 60s. It's going to be a state decision, and some states will allow it more than others. I think Texas has some really tough laws against it. VV AMA on Friday. I think it's actually an Epico Regal AMA, if I'm not mistaken. It's simple. Your body, your choice. My body, my choice. There you go. Thoughts on Biden? See, I mean, I'll take Biden over Trump any day, all day, every day. But, man, I agree with everybody who says these politicians are way too old. Why we got to have 80 and 70-year-old politicians, all of which were born with silver spoons in their mouth? Every one of these politicians have had parents who made over $100,000 a year. And that's not really a good representation of society, of American society. You should have people in there that are doctors and lawyers, and that's how it was set up to be in the first place. Teachers and people that aren't aren't just in it to get rich. But on Biden, yeah, I don't think he's as out of it as people think he is. I mean, I know he has a stuttering problem. He always had a stuttering problem. I have a little bit of a stuttering problem. It runs in my family big time. My kid and my brother both stutter. And so I think that stuttering is a little bit gets tied into him being like too old and like he has dementia or something. I just don't think he's a great speaker, and I'm not a great speaker, so I can relate. Joe3 says next VV community update is Friday the 13th. Ooh, that sounds scary. Friday the 13th? That's in 2 days. Let's go. At 1 p.m. We'll have to check it out. Matt Smith says I haven't been vaccinated and never once been sick. I had COVID twice. I would get it. I just got to get that Pfizer one. My ex-girlfriend is a doctor, and she talked to me about it, and she told me only to get the Pfizer one, and I don't think she'd lie to me, so that's the only one I'm getting. Gio says, when people say only a woman should have a say, I disagree. It takes a woman and a male to conceive life so that it's a man's baby as well, not just up to her if it gets to live or not. I agree. Yeah, what about if you have a woman and a man, they're not married, they get pregnant together, the woman wants an abortion, the man doesn't. It is the man's child, but it's the woman's body. What do you do, go to court on that? I mean, how often does that happen? I'm sure it does. You trust Pfizer? I know I really shouldn't trust Pfizer. I'll trust my ex-girlfriend. She's a doctor. Man, that's a good point, Gio. And luckily I'm not a female, so my opinion isn't as really relevant. And it should be the man should have a choice to it as well. But how do you resolve that? Do you take it to court? But shouldn't the woman have a little bit more say than the man? And if so, then what's the point? Then the woman has all the say. Should it be 50-50? That's a tough one. I don't know. Joey Jonas says, how does the hero drop work? So if I get an email, it's automatically get in the pack. I get on the page on the time of the drop for the hero drop. And whenever the last drop happened, it opened up for me to start buying before I got that email, like a couple minutes before. So you want to be there ahead of time so that you can get them before they sell out, because people can buy up to 10 packs. LaPalm says, I'm very left, by the way, but I think everyone should have their own choice and no one should care about someone else's decision. A lot of people care too much about what other people are doing, that's for sure. But I think the biggest, if you're an American, the biggest problem in America is by far Congress. And I think almost both sides agree with it. Like Congress has a approval rating of like 5 to 7% usually. They're all about getting their money. They're all paid for. I mean, you got to get money out of politics. And it seems like both sides agree with that too, that you have to get money out of American politics for it to run right. But there's only one side that's really trying to do that. It's the progressive left is the only one that's actually putting out policies to get money out of politics. I think that's the biggest one. Thank you, Golden Retriever Boy. BV AMA Friday, big news coming. I don't know, Friday the 13th sounds kind of scary for that AMA. B says vaccines should not be mandatory, but there could be consequences if you don't take them. Maybe wear a mask and get tested. I'm okay with getting one, but you don't have the right to put my life at risk. Yeah, I think if you're not vaccinated, you should wear a mask. And a lot of people don't understand that it's true that masks are not created to keep the vaccine out. Masks are created to keep the vaccine in. It's to prevent your stuff from getting out, not from you getting stuff in. And they'll be like, no, masks don't work. They don't prevent the vaccine, or they don't prevent COVID from getting in. But that's not what a mask is for. You're supposed to wear it to prevent your stuff from getting out. It's such a simple thing that has been told over and over, and people still don't get that. Matt Smith said, we just had a baby. No woman should go through pregnancy if she doesn't want to. That's true. That's a big deal on your body that lasts the rest of your life. Vaccine doesn't stop you from getting it or spreading it? Really? Even if you get the boosters, it doesn't stop you from getting it? That's not good. Her body, period, only if she makes the choice. Yeah, I guess it's her body. I agree. Men shouldn't have a say in a person's body. Flip that around. Would you want a woman forcing you to do something with your body? True. I hear you. So yeah, it should be the woman's choice, even if the man's involved. But that'd be rough. Jeff Barker says, if a woman has the right to choose to keep or have an abortion, should a man have the option to not pay child support if the woman wants to keep it, but the man doesn't? Oh. So you're saying if a man and a woman get pregnant together, they're not married, the woman wants to keep it, the man wants her to have an abortion, but since she kept it, should the man still have to pay child support? I mean, yeah, that's life. That's the law. I mean, you created the baby, because if not, then if we didn't have that law, then men would just go around making babies left and right and just bouncing. I mean, you got to have some type of accountability for it. If they consent to have sex, they should be aware of the consequences, though. Nobody is forcing anything. True. As long as it's not being forced, yeah, they should have accountability. Marquez says, keep America free for all. I'm sick with COVID right now, which is why I have to say later, guys. I'm good, but I feel a little sick right now. All right, Marquez, have a good one, man. Yeah, definitely take some rest. Get some medicine in you. Get some vitamin C. Nine says, I don't think that anyone should bring a child into this world unless both parents want the child. Both the mother and the father should want the child. And that's the point that I was talking about earlier. Like, whenever you make it impossible or really hard to have abortions, then you have more children that are unwanted. The parents aren't, I mean, not every unwanted child. A lot of people have unwanted or unplanned pregnancies. Unplanned pregnancies happen all the time, but it doesn't mean that the child is unloved. But there's a higher percentage of children that are unloved because they're not wanted. They weren't wanted in the first place. They didn't have a chance to have an abortion. So then you have unloved children that turn into criminals, because that's most likely, if you have unloved children, then you have a higher percentage of criminals in society. B says, N95 masks help everyone, cloth masks don't. I've never had one of those N95s. I need to get one. Just wondering your all's thoughts on the hypothetical. Yeah, I think that's what we were talking about a second ago. Greedy One says, when my wife got her birth control, I had to sign up a piece of paper that says I would let her. Ooh, interesting. Kind of left that like it was in hand. Kind of felt like it was in Handmaid's Tale. I even told the doctor, this is effed up. Were y'all married? Oh yeah, it was your wife. I have to sign a piece of paper that says I would let her. That's messed up. What state are you in? Yeah, that's kind of messed up. But then again, I mean, you kind of want, if they're married, the husband should need to know if they're on birth control, because what if a woman goes on birth control and doesn't tell their husband? I mean, I guess she's allowed to do that. There's nothing wrong with that or illegal. It seems messed up, though, if the husband don't know. Price predictions on Hero digital packs. Man, some of those cards look pretty nice. People are trying to get on that leaderboard. Definitely over retail. I say a couple hundred, maybe 200 on those, maybe 500 to start. Wife is fully vaccinated with the booster, and she's sick with COVID right now. Wow. So no point in getting vaccine. I mean, if you can still get sick, what's the point? BE says vaccines can prevent you from getting COVID, but it's not 100%. It's meant to keep you from dying and filling up hospitals. Okay, I got you. So it lessens the symptoms, maybe, getting the vaccine. Because see, I thought a vaccine was giving you a small dose of the virus so that your body can learn how to fight it, and then you don't get the virus anymore at all. I didn't realize you could still get sick. Hellboy says, as a Canadian, sometimes I look and hear about what's happening in the U.S. I'm just like, damn, you guys live in a video game. I mean, especially like last year when they tried to take over the country because they lost. That to me was pretty messed up. And what's messed up to me, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe you guys disagree. I think that Trump guy shouldn't be allowed to run for president after throwing a fit when he lost and trying to take over the country. Like, isn't that disqualifying? Once you try to take over the country, you don't get to be president no more? I guess not. Greedy One says, I was in Georgia at the time. Oh, yeah, I hear you. So, yeah, Georgia is southern. Yeah, they probably have some crazy rules like that. That's crazy that you had to sign over for it, though. Mert's in the house. What's up, Mertz? What's up, Roger Dodger? Mert says, started stacking silver to hedge against inflation. Interesting. I don't have money like that where I'm stacking precious metals. This was like 2013, so it wasn't that long ago. What's up, Roger Dodger? We're talking a little politics. We were talking a little bit of talk about abortion earlier. I don't know. At first, I thought I knew the answer. Then they gave me some hypotheticals that made me question my own thoughts. What's up, Crypto Boy? Thoughts on Omi price? Man, it's super low. I don't know. I mean, they just put it on the app where you can buy it through the Coinbase. Not really through Coinbase, but through some kind of Coinbase through Uniswap, through the Coinbase app. So maybe that'll help a little bit. But right now, it's just all the markets are down right now. It has a lot to do with the war. It has a lot to do with gas prices being up, a food shortage in the world. Bruin says Biden is too old and not cognitive, not a stuttering problem. I mean, I wouldn't say he's not cognitive, but I think he's way too old. I think a lot of these politicians are way too old. Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi. It's like, why do you have to have 70-year-old 70-year-old politicians? Because, I mean, wisdom is one thing, but you also have to understand, you have to have a good grasp of society at the time, and they're still living in the past. They're all rich too. They don't get out in the world. They don't really understand how people, I mean, they ain't even watching, they ain't watching the news. They're not watching YouTube. They're not really as connected with society as a 30 or 40 or 50-year-old would be. 70 or 80 is like, oh, you're still living in the past. Let's talk about how bad Trump is, but recognizing those who like him aren't all bad. I agree those who like him aren't all bad. I mean, I was even thinking about voting for Trump for a split second there when it was Trump against Hillary, because it's like Hillary's the establishment and Trump, I call him Trump. Trump is anti-establishment, and I'm more anti-establishment. Honestly, I'm not a fan of Hillary. I think I did vote for Hillary because the other choice was Trump, but I did not like voting for Hillary. I'm not a fan at all. I don't think she's like this huge criminal. I still never found any evidence to show that she was some huge criminal, but I don't think she was qualified to be president either. Anytime you have somebody running for president whose family member was president recently, whether it's George Bush Jr., it's like you got there because of your name. Same with Hillary Clinton. She got there because her husband was Bill Clinton. That's what got her to be a senator in New York in the first place. Am I buying the crypto dip? Now, I don't have a whole lot of cash to be buying dips right now, but I have been picking up some NFTs still. I'm still picking up NFTs. I'm planning on buying into the Rewind Collective drop that's coming out next month. I'm still buying VV NFTs. I'm stacking up gems to make a big purchase, maybe a Tide. Maybe a Prodigy Vanche. I'm not sure yet. Sean Bell says, does YouTube allow you to bring on guest speakers like Zoom dubs? Yeah, well, I do it through Zoom. I just connect people that are guest speakers through Zoom, and then I patch in their Zoom feed to my OBS, and it pops up in the stream. So yeah, I used to have some speakers on, like the Comic Way, Dozer from the Comic Way, but he got some big job, so he had to take a break from it. Unvaxxed still aren't allowed to travel via airplanes and trains domestically in Canada. Okay. Because I know they just passed a new thing in America where you don't have to wear a mask on an airplane anymore. And I thought it was nothing to worry. That's just the usual timer when I go to pick up my kid. But like I said, has a special event today, so I don't have to leave for a while to go pick him up. Excuse me, guys. Mertz got a W. You getting a drop, Mertz? Geo says, how do we get a point where we have to choose between a silver spoon fed celebrity and a senile old man that can't form a sentence like little children. Like, seriously, I mean, we had other options. I was going for Elizabeth Warren. I'm not gonna lie, I had an Elizabeth Warren for president sticker. I liked her a lot, but now that I know her stance on crypto, not as much. But I like those progressive candidates that want to get the money out of politics. I think that's the biggest issue. Am I worried about the instant formula shortage? I didn't hear about that. I heard about a worldwide food shortage, which sounds definitely very worrisome. But it has a lot to do with the war in Ukraine. Taxes are too high too. Made over 250K, pay close to 100K in taxes. Wow, that is a lot of taxes. But I'm sorry, Bruin, I feel like the rich people need to pay more in taxes. That's after you've already got the Bush tax cuts, the Reagan tax cuts, the Bush senior tax cuts, all of which are permanent. And then anytime you try to take a little bit away from their tax cuts, they just yell socialism. This is socialism. If you go from 6% to 7%, suddenly it's socialism. I think it's the rich people control Congress, and the Congress passed the tax laws. I mean, there was even that Paul guy, what's his name? The senator from, he was from some western state. His first name was Paul. I can't remember his last name, a young, tall guy. He went into Congress, and he was real popular. I think he ran for president. And then as soon as they got that big tax cut for the rich, he just retired right there. He said, that's the only reason I was here. That's why I came. Now I'm gone. I got my money. We out. Hellboy says Biden is becoming senile and the world is here to see it. I keep seeing videos of him doing and saying nonsense. The funniest one was when he turned the other day to shake somebody's hand and nobody was there. I mean, I turned a little red there. I blushed a little bit. You're making America look bad. That's what happens when we get all these 80-year-old politicians. I don't even understand why. Bao says Luna crashed the crypto market. It's down like 98%. Terra's stablecoin UST is not stable anymore. It's probably the biggest crash in crypto history. See, I don't know much about Luna. I've been hearing a lot about it on Twitter. I didn't realize it was considered a stable coin and it crashed 98%. That's ridiculous. Some people were saying buy Luna now, but I don't know much about it. I don't really get into crypto. I just got my Omi, and we know what Omi's doing. Stephen A says, I'm going to buy your Superman v Flash from the market if it's still in there in an hour. Please do. I got it up for $119, but it's a 3-digit serial number. Bruin said Trump was not a politician against the deep state. Rich politicians run this country. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Not even the politicians. The rich people behind the politicians, the rich lobbyists run the country. Trump is not a good man. I knew that a long time before he ran for president. The stuff he did in Scotland to make his golf course was cruel to property owners. He only cares about himself. Man, I have to agree with that. I have to agree he only cares about himself for sure. Sean Bell says, yeah, I've seen you have other people on Drop Day live streams, but wasn't sure how you did it, but you knew you had some sort of trick up your sleeve. Yeah, I used to use Discord, but Discord is not reliable, so I use Zoom. Colin Powell would have been a good president. See, I'm not old enough to... I kind of remember Colin Powell, but I wasn't paying attention to politics back then. What's up, Mr. Suarez? We're talking... Yeah, Paul Ryan, thank you. We're talking a little bit of politics. Yeah, Paul Ryan is what I was talking about. Yeah, as soon as they got that big tax cut, he was like, I'm out. Aaron Knight says, $40 billion to Ukraine, and you're supporting giving more money from our... Okay, so here's the thing about that. I do think we need to tax the rich more. I think we need to get more taxes overall, but not until we get money out of politics. Right now, you're just giving more money for them to distribute amongst themselves. I mean, you know how much of the government money just disappears every year? It's like they just take it. I mean, you got to fix Congress first, and then you need to. I mean, I'm all about having bigger government. A lot of people I know like smaller government. Bigger government's fine with me. You just have to fix government first. You got to get the money out of politics first, because then it's just being misused. That's the same with a lot of these third world countries. We send the money over there to help, but then the king or the people in charge of the money just steal it all, and they don't get any help. Bernardo says, I'm from Venezuela. I got firsthand experience with socialism, communism. This ain't even close to that. Man, that's something I like talking about a lot. I've talked a lot about how people call everything they don't like socialism, and how they try to compare it with Venezuela and what really is socialism, and how socialism is actually the opposite of communism. People say socialism leads to communism. Socialism is when all of the land and property and businesses are owned by the people, whereas communism is where all the land, businesses, and property are owned by the government. And a lot of times a country will have where they own everything. It's really communism, but they'll call it socialism. They'll say, no, all the people own it, but really they control everything. So a lot of times people call government socialists that are really communist. Biden and Trump look bad. They aren't good orators, and they stumble on their words. I mean, Trump's pretty good at orator. I don't know what's up with Biden. I just don't like what he says. Hack says, get rid of Texas. I mean, that's not my favorite country or my favorite state at all. Get rid of. I wouldn't say get rid of Texas, but man, oh, get rid of taxes. I thought you said get rid of Texas. Sorry, my fellow Texans, but I was kind of liking that idea. No, I wouldn't get rid of Texas, but man, Texas has some issues. Get rid of taxes. Everyone is happy and nobody can cheat. Not sure why it's so complicated. Get rid of taxes. So how do you run the government though? The government has to build bridges and make roads, education. I mean, if you got rid of taxes, it would just be chaos. It would be anarchy. Luna is not a stable coin. They have an ecosystem that has UST, which is a stable coin. See, I don't know much about that. I'm not a crypto pro. How about everyone pay the same percent as me then? 45%? I don't think so. 45% is a lot. But I mean, if it's being spent well, then you wouldn't have to pay as much for one. But also, I think they should like show you exactly where every single dollar that you give to the government for taxes is spent. And if they kept track of everything, you wouldn't feel as bad as paying for it because you know where it went instead of it just disappearing off in the night. Defund the Fed. Where my libertarians at? See, here's the problem with libertarians. I like libertarians. I like the idea, some of their ideas, but they kind of stop at the point of where government is the problem. And the government is the problem, but then they don't have a solution. Then they're like, well, let's just get rid of everything and be anarchy. Government's the problem, but government is also the only solution. You got to fix government first because when Golden Retriever says less government. I'm all about more government, but you got to fix it first. You got to take money out of it. And if you have politicians that it was set up in the way that it was supposed to be in the beginning, where they're just regular people elected by their neighbors and not some guy who's just a rich guy who moves into the neighborhood just so that he can get that position in Congress, whether it be a representative, more of a representative type thing than a senator, but still, it's like it's not set up. It's not acting the way it's supposed to set up to be. I think The Rock should be president. He was thinking about running for it, apparently. 99% of people don't understand the proper role of government. George Licker says, just like when socialists called everybody they disagree with fascist. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know who are the socialists, though, that call people fascist. And what does fascist stand for? That's not a definition I really know personally that well. Merch says, if we really want to make government accountable, we would go back to the gold standard. I mean, that's kind of crazy how that worked. I watched a documentary the other day where we had a gold standard, then we got rid of it, then we had it again and got rid of it again, so now the money is not really backed by anything. I don't know how that works. I mean, I'm kind of surprised that we were able to do that. I mean, I think he tells good jokes. You saw him on to say Trump was a great orator. He's funny, man. I like his sense of humor. At least he's got a little bit of sense of humor to him. I'm not a fan at all. Don't get me wrong. But compared to Biden, we're comparing him to Biden here. We're not comparing him to like Obama. Anomaly says socialism is when the government gives handouts and the people don't have jobs. Socialism can't last. I mean, what are we talking about? This makes no sense at all. I mean, has not the government always given people money and stuff? Has the government not had cheese lines? I mean, if you go back to whenever it was the 1930s, 1940s, 1950s, where United States of America went from like one of the mid-level countries to the top country by far through their economy. At that time, we were taxing the rich the same rates that AOC suggests now, where they were taxed like 90%, but they were still rich. And the point is it funded everything else in the country. I don't think that they should be taxed 90%, but we're talking about a different type of tax where the tax doesn't kick in until you've already made a certain amount of money. Back then it was probably like 100K or 200K, but now they're talking about if you make over $1 million a year, now you pay more of a tax on this other. You're not paying more than anybody else on the lower million, but once you've hit $1 million for a year, you pay higher taxes, and that funds the world. And that funds the country. And when you're funding the country and you're able to help people in need and you don't have so many people in distress, then you have less crime. So it's kind of like paying for protection so that there's not so much crime in the country. That's the way I look at it anyway. Bernardo says you have to fix government, then fix government spending. Yeah, government spending is the big problem. I agree, exactly. That'd be the best and most efficient way to track where each penny goes. Heck, we had horses back then and we were only 50 million or less people. Yeah, that is a big difference. Most civilizations were able to operate on precious metals alone. If we went back to that standard, I mean, that'd be crazy. That'd be weird. How would that work? But I hear what you're saying, though. It makes sense because, yeah, the paper is perceived value. I agree with that. Yeah, we kind of need government. Yeah, you kind of have to have government. Also, government contractors are the ones that drain the country the most. That's another good point. But I don't know what he's talking about. Like, look at BlackRock. Government contractors do that. That's very true. Government is not the problem. Government is the actors keeping y'all confused. The Fed controls everything. I mean, I think the Federal Reserve's a problem. I agree. I don't think the Federal Reserve was a good idea. I agree with that completely, but I would say government is the only solution because who else can fix it? I mean, if you look at the whole idea of giving all the power to the corporations, I always say power is absolute, which means there's always 100% of power. So if government has 70% of power and corporations have 30%, and you take power away from government, you give it more to corporations. And the difference between government and corporations, they can both control your lives in the exact same way, but you can't vote out a CEO. That's the difference. What's up, Rachel's Hussy? We're talking about a little bit of politics. My thoughts on people who support Trump. I mean, my sister is a big Trump supporter. My brother, I'm not sure. He kind of seems like he's on the fence. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. I mean, I guess since you have a whole entire narrative that is fed to you constantly, and you can only watch these news stations because on these news stations they tell you over and over, do not watch CNN. You cannot watch these other news stations. They're all lying to you. They're all fake news. If you watch it, it's like they make you scared to watch other news. That way you're only watching their news and you're only getting their information, whether it's good information or not. I think that America One News Network had to put out a retractment yesterday. They had to retract a statement saying that the Georgia elections were stolen and that there was fraud because, I mean, they studied it over and over and again. There's no fraud. You can't say it if it ain't true. Skateboard P says the clue is in the name government. We know what govern means. It means it's short for mentis or mental. It's called hidden in plain sight. Government literally means mind control. Yikes. I hope not. B says we're not a socialist country. We're a hybrid. I think every country in the world, maybe besides North Korea, is a mix of socialism and capitalism. America should start a third party. I think we should get rid of all parties. That's another thing I believe in. What's the point of parties? Parties help nobody. Parties help nobody except for lower level politicians getting elected that people don't even know about or know their positions. I think everybody should be independent. Every politician should be independent, and you can vote on the merits or what they want to do instead of what side they're on. Bruce says big government sucks. I know a lot of people think that, and the way it's running right now, if we made government bigger the way it's ran right now, yeah, that would suck because the politicians are crooked and they're paid off and they just do what their donors want them to do. Cronyism, what exactly is cronyism? I've heard the word. I should probably know it. I saw some type of proposal to tax unrealized gains. Whoever made that up is on crack. Imagine being taxed on your gains that you haven't cashed out yet. Yeah, that sounds horrible. Absolutely. I'm not going against limited government, but I'm okay with a little help from the government. It usually gets paid back in taxes. The more successful the people, the more successful the government. I agree. And I think a lot of people say that the best way to judge a society is it's either how they treat their criminals or their poor people, but both could apply. I mean, if you look at how Nordic countries treat their prisoners, like prison to me is just ridiculous. I don't really know anybody that's been to prison. I had to go to jail one time for like 3 days over some little tiny fight I got to when I was in college. But it's like they almost breed racism in prison. It's like, yeah, just let them be racist. Let them all break off into racist group and teach racism to each other and get really big into it. Now let's let them off into the world. It's like, what are we doing? That makes no sense at all to me. Like, y'all got to do something about the prison system. People say, oh, how is that? The government only has power. The citizens delegate it to themselves. The government is the creation. I mean, if you mean by voting, I mean, people don't really try hard enough to learn about the candidates. They just have a side. Everybody's like, they have their side already. They don't even care about the issues anymore. Is it Republican or Democrat? Like, I'm kind of the same way. I'll never vote for a Republican personally. Mer says your perspective on each candidate is only based on what you have heard or been told by others. Exactly. Watch 2,000 Mules. What's this, Angel C? Is that on Netflix? I wouldn't mind watching that. I need a good movie to watch. Darius Blake says, I hear you, bro. I'm thankful you didn't instantly condemn them like I often hear. Yeah, hopefully. Oh, you're talking about the Trump supporters? No, I mean, I went back and forth with it. I mean, I've argued with a lot of them on Twitter. I argued with the main guy, Joe, from what's it called? QAnon? The main guy's name is Joe. We followed each other. We DM'd each other. I mean, I used to have over 40,000 followers on Twitter. I used to talk to John Cusack a lot. He's a big progressive. And, I mean, when you disagree with them, it's like you can show them as many sources as you want, as much information as you want, and then you can ask them for their sources and their proof, and nothing matters. It's like my side is right, whether you prove it or not. It don't matter. Bernardo says, this is straight up my educational background, BS in international business and MS in macroeconomics. Let's go. Before I decided to go hit a ball around the course for a living. Oh, so you're a golfer? So you got all that education, you went and golfed? Man, you must be smart, because not because of the education, because man, I cannot golf for nothing. I cannot hit that ball to get it to go in the air. I've tried everything. IHAC says, if I, as a citizen, don't have the right to come to your house and demand money from you, how can I then delegate that to the government? Love to hear an answer from someone. If I, as a citizen, don't have the right to come to your house and demand money from you, how can I then delegate that to the government? Does the government come to your house to demand money? I mean, if you don't pay your taxes, is that what you're saying? I don't know. I don't know how they decide how some people go to prison and jail for not paying their taxes, but other people can go their whole, 20, 30 years and never pay taxes or cheat on their taxes. I don't know how that works. I don't know enough about the IRS. I do think it's messed up that they can come to your house and arrest you for not paying your taxes. Because if you look into the Constitution, there's some pretty good arguments made that taxes are unconstitutional. I've heard the arguments. I don't remember them exactly, but there are actually some decent constitutional arguments against it. But it still doesn't get you out of it, because then nobody would pay taxes. I didn't care about politics till 2016. I feel more people should look at both sides before picking a side, because if they did more, then often choose the independent party. I agree with the independent party. Yeah, I'm big on the independents. What I did is I kind of just looked at every issue. I got onto the internet and I looked at every issue and kind of formed my own opinions. And I would go into chat rooms and talk about stuff and give my opinions. And they would be like, you're a liberal, you're a liberal, you're a lefty. Like, I didn't even know what liberal meant. But if you want to label me, I'm just going by how I came up to my conclusions by looking at all the available data. Merch says I'm a registered independent. When it comes to midterms, I have to pick a party to vote, which I still find funny. Yeah, I usually go ahead and vote for the Democrats, even though I consider myself an independent. The goal of forming political parties is to create a system of checks and balances to prevent one person or one group from grabbing too much power in representative governments. So is it a good idea to have the political parties? Does it really create a system of checks and balances to prevent one person or one group from grabbing too much power? Why would a person be able to grab too much power without a political party? I guess because if one person was so popular that they'd have more than 50%, but still you have term limits. I think we need more term limits. But I don't have any problem with getting rid of the two-party system, getting rid of political parties altogether, putting in some more term limits. We definitely need term limits in Congress. And then, just whoever has the best ideas and presents themselves the best is who wins the elections. Normally says, if you watch the mainstream news, your opinion is invalid and void. Anyone who says the election wasn't frauded is sleepwalking. Dude, what are you talking? Can you give me a source? Like, I'm right here. I will look up anything you want to look up. Please give me any type of proof that the election was fraudulent. Do you understand that election fraud is the biggest the most high risk, low reward crime in history? What's the point of affecting or changing one vote when you could possibly go to jail or to prison for a federal crime, and it's only making a 1 point difference, a 1 vote difference? People do not do that. People don't really lie about, they don't have fraudulent voting. I think they only found 2 fraudulent votes for the whole election. Both were Republicans, old ladies whose husbands died, and they voted for them. President Nordic countries are reform centers. In the U.S., I agree with this exactly. Yeah, I saw I think it was the Netherlands, a documentary about prisons in the Netherlands. It's a little too lax. You got murderers riding around on bicycles, which is a bit much, but you can see how the people don't come back. Like, once they're reformed, they actually are reformed. Bruin said, I used to be a Democrat. I felt it was the greatest. When I shook his hand, Democratic Party left me, too far left. It depends on if you're looking at the extremes. If you look at the extremes on the right is too far right. If you look at the extremes on the left is obviously too far left too. I am name dropping John Cusack. What's up, Froe Comey? Your country is ruined because of the willful ignorance of your people. I don't know about ruined, but I do think people are dumb. Man, I really do think people are dumb. What's the point? What is your... no offense to you, but you're saying that you think the election was fraudulent. Do you have any proof? Like, why would you believe it so strongly without any evidence? We're in 3-part. Had to split it up to get it around the 200-character Oh, man. Let me see if I can go back and read it for you. IHAC. Oh, I messed it up. Okay. I'll give you all an example. There's chatter here about taxes. You know taxes are against the laws of God? It's called theft, stealing. People say, oh, how? How is that? The government only has the power the citizens delegate to it that they themselves have. The government is the creation, not the creator. If I, as a citizen, and we talked about that, I mean, that's what we talking about. God. We can get into religion. I don't. I mean, I can't go by anything the Bible says or any other religion. I'm not an atheist, and I think atheism is almost probably more ridiculous than any other religion, because if you go back to the beginning of time, you can't have something that was always there forever, that has always existed, and you can't have something come from nothing. So there is a higher power in play. In my opinion, there's definitely a higher power, but all of the, I mean, if you just read the text, the religious text of all of the organized religions, there's holes everywhere. None of it makes any sense. So I don't really subscribe to any particular religion, but I'm also not atheist. I don't understand why people pick sides and they stick to it for life. I agree, Bernardo Suarez, and I know what's really amazing is how the political parties in America kind of switched in the late 60s, early 70s, maybe late 70s, and a lot of people, their grandparents were like Republicans, but back then Republicans were Democrats, and they just know by growing up that their grandparents always said, no, vote Republican, because their grandparents were actually good people who had empathy for other people that they didn't know, so they were actually on the right side. But growing up, they just heard Republican, then whenever the party switched, now they're still voting Republican, thinking they're doing what their grandparents wanted them to do all the time. What are you talking about? There's always fraud in all elections, but it's so small. Yeah, if there was enough fraud for it to change the results. I mean, it's such a high-risk, low-reward crime. There's no point in doing it. Watch 2,000 Mules for Evidence. Let me know where to find that. Hopefully it's on Netflix. I'll check it out. I'll look for it. Who could put braids in their hair without being admonished? That is kind of messed up that they try to say that that's... Oh, I don't know the term again. Well, you can't wear braids. It's on the tip of my tongue. Cultural. You guys can help me in the chat. What's that called? Cultural something? You can't. They're saying that white girls can't put braids in their hair now because it's cultural. I can't figure out the word, but I think that's messed up. You should be able to wear whatever you want just because maybe one ethnicity comes up with a hairstyle that's other ethnicities like. Isn't that how history's gone? I mean, who came up with the first chili bow cut? Maybe it was the Dutch, but we're all doing it. Used to. If you look at the dictator of North Korea, his country is independent and everyone in the country is afraid of him. If we don't have any political parties, then the leader can do crimes without punishment. I don't know how the political parties have anything to do with the punishment of dictators or the punishment of politicians. The point would be they would be voted out, but this is a dictatorship and you can't vote them out. If you think elections are squeaky clean, old boy sleeping under a rock, I mean, give me some proof. What kind of proof do you got? I've done a lot of research on whether there was any election fraud. We can do some research on it. It was like it was all cap. It was super cap. The U.S. needs to be, and the whole thing was, their whole proof was that, what's that word? Whenever you make a statement to the police, and it's considered, affidavits. Yeah, because people put in affidavits saying, oh, we saw this and we saw that. People put in affidavits that they saw Bigfoot riding on a UFO. I mean, people put in affidavits about seeing crazy stuff all the time. That really means nothing at all. No more party system, global boxing match, winner gets to be leader. I don't know about that. I don't know about the whole party system. I don't really see how it helps us anyway, besides helping the politicians get elected. So many red flags on past elections, so many fraudulent actions by those holding the ballots. No way, who? Why? No. Then you have to have some type of proof for it, though. Yes, I am agnostic. That's how I describe myself. Absolutely, Dezuma. There could be a God, but we need solid proof. I don't know if it's the right cultural appropriation. Thank you, guys. I knew you guys would figure it out for me. That's what I was talking about, cultural appropriation. I think they go a little too hard on that one. I mean, I'm wearing a Deion Sanders jersey. I wear football jerseys all the time. Is that a cultural appropriation? Doing a little too much. Anomaly says, you haven't seen the evidence because you are a bot. Wrong. That's why we're here. Let's check it out. We can go to any website you like. Evidence of fraud during 2020 U.S. presidential election. Please show me some. Would love to see it. I mean, this is the top one. PBS, do you consider that a pretty neutral site? Let's see what we got here. So many YouTube videos. Come on, y'all. YouTube is not a source. Exhaustive fact check finds little evidence of voter fraud, but 2020's big lie lives on. All right, so that one says little evidence. So what's the little evidence? I'd like to see a little bit of it. This was out of 1 million votes cast if you add up all those. Shy of 475 potential cases of voter frauds in 6 states. So, I mean, even if it was 475 in one state, no matter which side it went, it wouldn't change the results at all. All right, let me do a PNAS. I'm not even sure what that is. Let's check it out. I ain't scared. Let's look up. I want to find some of this evidence that people are talking about. No evidence for systematic voter fraud, a guide to statistical claims. Here's a whole entire guide. Man, this tells you everything you need to know about it. Should I link this in the chat? Claims based on facts that are not actually anomalous. They're not anomalous. Not anonymous. Anomalous. I don't know. What do y'all think? Which video? Show me a video. We can probably watch it on stream together. Bernardo says, political parties do not hold their leaders accountable. There's so many examples of this around the world. Do you think Democrats will say, yeah, Joe, shut the F up, you're wrong? Oh, absolutely not, because then that would make them look bad and they wouldn't have a chance to win the next election. They're always gonna back up their guy, no matter what he does. They're always gonna be on that side. It's so polarized now, and that's a result of having 2 political parties. Maybe even if we had like 5 political parties, it would be less polarized. But when you only have 2, it's either right or wrong, black or white, yes or no. What's up, Alejandro? We're talking about a little bit of politics right now. Mauricio says Jesus is king. I was raised a Baptist. Baptist Christian, right? But my whole thing with Jesus is, all right, tell me this. Native Americans lived over here in these countries for hundreds of thousands of years and never heard the word Jesus Christ and the name Jesus in their life. And then, well, not hundreds, I guess, say 1,600 years until Europeans came over. So does that mean all the Native Americans who died before Europeans discovered America just automatically go to hell? Jesus Christ don't really make, just that story just has too many holes in it for me. Big J says, if you like the current state of our country and economy, keep voting Dem. I mean, the current state of the country and the economy has to do with the war in Russia, obviously. I know that I see the stickers, especially in Indiana here, that they put on the pumps. Biden did this. Like, I mean, war in the Middle East causes gas prices to go up, and it's caused gas prices to go up for the last 40 years. It's not a new thing. B says fraud in election is rare. I'd have to see these videos you saw. I'm willing to listen. Yeah, I'll show the videos. I'll be happy to look them up. Remember the press conference Giuliani had that was behind a landscaping business? That was hilarious. What about the one where his hair dye started leaking down his face? Trumper still won't believe you with proof. I know that's true too. Trust me, I know that. In my opinion, we need a viable third-party system. We do have some third parties and we have some decent candidates, but nobody ever votes for them, and I always feel like it, and I feel like it too, that if I vote for them, I'm throwing it away, because really there's only 2 people that could possibly win. Why even entertaining voter fraud claims? Hey, I'm down to look it up. Citing YouTube as a source, yeah, that's true. Unless you cite the sources in the YouTube video. YouTube videos about this should be citing where they're getting their information from so that you can look it up yourself. Poo Poo Pants Biden is the most popular president in history? No. He had the most votes, more popular than Obama. That's just a result of population going up over the years. I don't think he's the most popular in history. Vote has to switch to a blockchain method. I do think that's a great idea, absolutely, and I think it's probably inevitable for the future for votes to be counted on the blockchain. That's a great idea. Maybe you get an NFT to vote. You have to take your NFT to the voting place and show it before you can vote to prove that you're the right person. We have a president who should be in a nursing home. He should resign. I mean, half of our Congress should be in nursing homes, should they not? I mean, I don't think he's that bad to where I don't think he should be running again, though. What's he going to be, like 90-something by the time he gets his second term if he runs again? That's a bit much. I learned everything on YouTube and Reddit, says Garrett. A lot of people do these days. Yeah, I'm waiting for the proof if you guys want me to check it out. Anything you want me to look up, I will be happy to look it up. B says, I voted for Biden, but he's not my GD, and he's not close to being perfect. I don't get how anyone can love a stupid politician so much no matter what party they're in. Yeah, the whole heroism, I don't think that's a word, but the way they turned Donald Trump into their hero when he's like this rich dude that don't give a crap about poor people at all, and he's proven it many, many times, and now they're like, this is the guy that's going to save us all. Like, what are we saving them from fake election fraud? Bernardo says, Brew, in every election will have more voters than the previous year because of population growth. That's how you do your research. I'm not sure how you want me to research it. We can look up 100 sites. That's how I do my research, is I look up all these sites. I'm looking for ones that I know are reputable. Let me look for some ones that I know are reputable. What did I look up? Proof of voter fraud in 2020 U.S. election. Was it 2020? Yeah. Sent you a link a few times. Take a look. Angel, where's the link at? they probably won't let you link anything in the chat. But if you want to send a link to me, you can go to my Discord server and link it there. I can look at stuff in the Discord server. But it won't let you link anything in this chat. I've tried to link stuff in other people's chats. So like I said, PBS I thought would be a good source. USA Today, is that not a good source? My point here was that all of these sources say the same thing. Factcheck.org. The point is none of these sources say that there is evidence. This one says new evidence showed something about Trump. I thought it might have been some new evidence. Find me one that says there is evidence. What's this 2,000 Mules? Here's another thing about 2,000 Mules. I'm really interested in this now. Fact-checking 2,000 Mules, the movie alleging ballot fraud. Oh, okay, so 2,000 Mules is the one alleging ballot fraud, and they are fact-checking it here. Movie was produced by conservative filmmaker, Dinesh D'Souza. We even know who that is. So, yeah, I don't think I would watch 2,000. Actually, I would watch it just to maybe to laugh at it, but also to fact-check what they're talking about. So the claim in 2,000 Mules is that at least 2,000 mules were paid to illegally collect ballots and deliver them to drop boxes in key swing states ahead of the 2020 presidential election. I don't think 2,000 would make a difference. True, the vote didn't prove this. The finding is based on false assumptions about the precision of cell phone tracking data and the reasons that someone might drop off multiple ballots, according to experts. Ballot harvesting, we talked about ballot harvesting a lot on Twitter. That's like something that's they're like doing a service so that old people who don't have cars don't have to find a way to drive all the way to wherever they're going. So people are paid, or I don't even know, it might be even a volunteer service where they go around and pick up people's votes for them. It's about to get crazy. Bear market will melt so many faces. Man, it's got to be a point. I know I got a message a minute ago that Bitcoin was up 5%. It's got to be a point where it's oversold and people start buying again. Can you explain the political party switch to me? Yes, Troy Carthy. Oh, I can't do this guy's quote because it's a lot of bad words. But if you look up the quote of this guy named Lee Atwater, 1980, he pretty much described it. But basically what happened is in the late 70s, people in the South, they realized there's a whole lot of racist people in the South, and they wanted to harvest their votes. They were trying to get the racist votes. So they had, I can't remember all these terms. It's been so long since I talked politics. What's that called? Let's find out. U.S. party switch. I can't remember what it's called. As soon as I see the term, I'll remember. The New Deal? No, that's not what I'm talking about. Party switching, this is probably it. If I can remember what it was called. Notable party switchers. I think this is earlier on. 1972. No, this is what we're talking about. But it has a word. It has a phrase that I always use, and I can't remember it anymore. But so basically what happened was in the early 70s, late 70s, people wanted to cultivate the racist in the South, and it was the Republicans who started using, was it John Crow laws and stuff like that to get more of those people to vote for them. And it caused a whole type of switch in from the Democrats to the Republicans. I don't know a lot about it. I can't even remember what it's called right now. I used to know a lot more about it. It's sad that everyone is so polarized anymore. Most people would agree with different ideals from both sides, but would rather sit and argue than to actually make anything better. Yeah, it's black and white now. It's like you're either on one side or the other, and whatever that side decides is their position, that's got to be your position too. Put 2,000 mules on Rumble. I do want to check out this 2,000 Mules. I've already seen where they're talking about, it's by Dinesh D'Souza, and Dinesh D'Souza has put out some crazy stuff in the past that has been quite debunked. Dennis O'Connor says, system is faulty. I refuse to vote under current. If you don't vote at all, you got to vote. Because if you don't vote at all, then it's just like they're going to do whatever they want, and you have no say in it. I want to follow your old Twitter account. You want to follow my old Twitter account? Check it out. Let's go look up my old Twitter account. You have a bunch of people that don't like me. Here it is right here. First off, you try to go to my old Twitter account. It is suspended. However, whenever Mr. Elon Musk takes over Twitter, maybe they'll give it back. Probably not, though. But you can see some of the stuff people replied to me. They did not like it. We think that this is where we're talking about the voting fraud. And these people, they always have their own stories about how there really is voter fraud. But then you look it up and you show them the facts, and they'll be like, it doesn't matter. Still voter fraud. And I used to defend Fauci a lot. I don't know how much I like Fauci anymore. I felt like it was crazy that so many people that dropped out of high school thought they knew more than the Fauci guy. But it ends up he was wrong about a lot of stuff. And I mean, that's kind of some new information. I try not to follow politics as much, so I don't know as much about it. But I'm not as bullish on the old Fauci as I used to be. I still like that card, though, the top Fauci card. Democrats harvest the votes. Republicans do the exact same thing. Republicans probably do it more. With future problems, says Bernardo Suarez, what we're talking about might be horribly wrong, but why is there's a 35-year-old restriction to run for president? Why isn't there an age limit as well? I agree 100%. I agree with everything you say, Bernardo. There should definitely be, I say like 65. Once you're 65, you can't be in office no more. You're too old. Go retire. We also have to look at who is fact-checking. Absolutely. That's why I'm always looking at the sources. Who is fact-checking, and the fact-checkers? Biden's mystery of truth. Both sides suck. That's the reality. I agree 100% that both sides suck. But you can find the facts. You can fact-check yourself. That's who does the fact-checking. Check the sources. Check where the money's coming from on the sources. Rachel says, can someone explain to me why we had over 100 mayors in the U.S. history that were animals? Wait, what? Is this true? Who was voting for animals? No wonder we got crazy politicians. Is this true, y'all? U.S. mayors that were animals? Is this a real thing? Whoa, that's the pictures. I mean, that was a cute dog. What? Top 8 animals elected to office? This is a real thing. Why are people voting for animals? Well, no wonder. No wonder we're screwed. Mayor Stubbs the cat. Looks like my cat, too. I don't think I would vote for a cat. Would you vote for a cat? Would you vote for a dog? Was it a statue? This dog was such a great mayor that he got a statue made out of him. I didn't know this was a thing. I don't like it. I don't really like it. What's up, Mr. Wynn? Scared to look at my portfolio today? Man, don't look at your vault value. It's going down. Do you realize that it's an oligopoly? Well, that's a good word. Oligopoly called OPEC that controls oil supply, and the U.S. has very little say in it. Where are we at? 2:51. I got a little more time. I'll give you my opinion on world politics. A lot of people talk about how they're scared of the New World Order and how they don't want there to be a one world government. I like the idea of a one world government. The one world government is going to help support the people in the third world countries that don't have any money at all and that nobody's going to help. And I feel like the whole NWO conspiracy was created on purpose by rich people who don't want there to be a world order, because then they'll have to pay more taxes to support more poor people. But you don't pick where you're born. You don't pick who you're born to. You don't have any empathy for the people that are born in third world countries and have no hope for a future whatsoever. To me, that's ridiculous that they have to live a life like that. And then you have like places like North Korea where people just are starving to death. And if you had a one world government and like a military, you could actually do something about it. I mean, it would have to be voted on. Of course, it would have to be democratic. But I think it would be a good thing, because nobody's doing anything for these third world countries. Nobody's doing anything for Africa. They're just they try to, but then the dictators just keep all the money. Biden's son used his dad's power and connection to make wealth. BE, do you want to buy one of his paintings for thousands of dollars? I want to know what's up with the whole Biden's son's laptop, Hunter's laptop. At first, it sounded like all cap, like it was at some shady place in New Jersey. I thought it was all cap, but they're starting to come up with some information saying that it wasn't so cappy. Like I said, I don't really follow politics as much as I used to, so I haven't kept up with it. Election was definitely a fraud. Whoever thinks Biden legitimately got more votes than Obama. No, man, that's just a fact of nature, because population growth goes up every time. More people voted also because they wanted to get rid of crazy Trump. Yeah, I don't think that's true at all. Sorry. Troy Carthy says, that just made me more confused. I just mean what policies switched from one party to... Oh, my bad. Man, I have to really look into it. Killing me that I can't remember what that's called. Ugh, I should know. But yeah, there was that switch in the late 70s, early 70s. Like I said, they wanted to court all the racist voters in the South. So it was like the Republicans, who were kind of usually the liberals. Because if you look at Lincoln was a Republican, but what did he want to do? He wanted to liberate slaves. He was a liberal, liberating slaves. And then you look at the people that were against him, the Democrats, they wanted to conserve their ability to own slaves. They were conservatives. Kamala slipped her way in office. I think a lot of that's true, actually. All Trump's lawyers, but I don't know a whole lot about it, but I have heard people say that before. And they came up with some evidence too. All Trump's lawyers, we got Jerry in the house. All Trump's lawyers who went to court over fraud claims are getting disbarred. Ooh. Okay. Sugar Shane said that will never happen. Just mouse off typical right-wing talking points. I thought you were right-wing, Jerry Clow. Just saying from how you complain in the chat all the time. Maybe that's just my bad opinion of right-wingers. We are screwed. This government serves themselves and corporations. You have to get money out of government. Is there anybody who disagrees with that? Do you not agree that the main problem in America is money and politics? Congress is controlled by special interests. One world government, come on, man, you want to follow rules set up by someone 4,000 miles away? If I was one of the people who helped to vote on who that person was, then yes, yeah. I mean, it's not like a dictatorship. It's still a democracy. Who should have the money? The bums? Trump lost popular vote both times. Elon Musk for world leader? I don't know that much about Elon Musk's politics. Honestly, I respect you for having this and being semi-open-minded. Just surprised how many Americans are so tax-hungry, wants to control other people, and don't care about freedom. And people nowadays want more control. When you're talking about financial freedom, though, I mean, if you're poor, then having no taxes doesn't make a difference. You're still poor. But if you're rich and you have more taxes, you're still rich. That's the difference. Jerry says Trump won one close one and lost one close one. Bernardo says China is investing heavily in sub-Saharan Africa. That is true. Economy of those countries will probably surpass South American economies in the next few decades. I think that's a good thing, but why is China leading the way? We should be in on that. But yeah, I've heard a lot about China building up, and not only in Africa and some other countries too, or some other continents. Arox says more votes because peeps wanted Trump out. Exactly. Biden's the worst we have ever had in my lifetime. How can Biden be worse than Trump? He tried to take over the country. Did I go to college? I have a bachelor's of science in computer science with minors in mathematics and creative writing from Indiana State. But I'm not very successful, so it's not that impressive. Bruin says, Jerry, please explain my Trump talking points. Wake up and do your own research. I'm still waiting for some proof because, like I said, I got the internet right here. We can look up anything you guys want to if you have some proof on fraud during the election. Like I said, it's by far the highest, lowest reward, highest, I said it a minute ago, I can't even remember, highest risk, lowest reward crime in the world. What's up, Brendan Z? We're talking politics, we're talking election fraud. Controlled by special interests, absolutely. Indiana State University, go Sycamores, same college as Larry Bird. And they name everything after Larry Bird there. Teddy Roosevelt was okay too. I'm not old enough to remember Roosevelt. I remember though being a kid and liking, what's the little short guy with the big ears? Ross Perot. I remember trying to get my mom to vote for Ross Perot, and I was just a kid. For some reason, I really liked that old guy. Eating a burrito and slapping Ronas. Let's go. Too much power as a one world order. Too much evil in this world. Need to go back to smaller individual nations that helps one another, not to take over and implement their version of right. Or maybe the whole European Union is a better idea than having a one world government. Isn't there I don't know exactly how that works, where they have a lot of countries that work together militarily, which is the whole crux of the Ukraine conflict right now because Russia doesn't want them to join. B says I have a meeting, but thanks for having this. No problem, man. Just want to end by saying I don't hate anyone on here. I respect everyone's opinion. Thank you, BE. I just know my immediate family will be okay no matter what happens and who is in office. I agree. What's up, Wooey Conway? No politics. We are talking politics today. We are going where no VV Meister has gone before. Just kidding. They do this all the time. Randy Chavez was talking politics. If Randy can do it, I'm allowed. It shows you how smart the world is set up for failure. Biden is literally worthless. He has no idea what's going on and makes us the biggest global joke. I mean, okay, so what's your proof that he has no idea what's going on? I mean, he turned and tried to shake somebody's hand that wasn't there once, but didn't Trump walk into a wall the other day? And hasn't he done stuff like that all the time? People do that all the time, especially old people. Trump did it all the time too. So pretending just Biden every once in a while having a slip up that has no idea what's going on, like has dementia or something. What are we talking about? I've heard him talk many a times and he sounds perfectly clear to me. I mean, every once in a while he slips up, but that's because he's not a great speaker. Do research on Rumble and other free speech platforms for evidence. I mean, if I look up Rumble, I don't think that's going to come up. What do we look? Rumble free speech? I'm not sure what Rumble is. Canada's new free speech platform. Oh, so this is like a Twitter? Impact on the fight against online misinformation. I do think online misinformation is a big problem. Rumble is relatively small compared to YouTube video sharing platform that gained over 30 million monthly users overnight. Interesting. Yeah, I'll check out Rumble. Another right-wing American political Dinesh D'Souza again. He's everywhere. But no, he's not. He's apolitical, like somebody said. He's really apolitical. He just shows up in all this politics stuff every time. Alejandro says, usually not into politics. I've never voted in my life, but the stream is entertaining. Thanks. We're having a good time. I always vote. I feel like I have to. I don't really always vote in the midterms, though, and I should. But, man, you got to wait in a long line, and they do that on purpose, too. There's a big old deal now about how they make it harder and harder to vote, and it's always one side that makes it as hard as possible to vote because they're the side that is losing more and more votes every year, more and more support every year, so they want less people to vote so they have a better chance of winning. You ever see Dana Carvey's impersonation of Ross Perot? Oh, I'm sure I have. Yeah, Dana Carvey's hilarious. How many years do you think we will last before it gets better? Define better. I mean, right now, our problems are highly tied to the war in Ukraine for sure. So, I mean, I don't know. Should we step in? Should we step into that war to help stabilize the world economy? I don't know. I don't think so. But maybe we should. That's a hard choice. Rachel says, Putin shook Trump's hand. He looks like he means business. But when it came to Putin shaking Biden's hand, he was smirking like he knows that Biden is a joke. There's so much. That's just because Putin and Trump are best buddies. I mean, they have history. Like, I mean, he's praised. So, like, Republicans and Trump praised Putin and Russia for the last 4 years. And now Putin and Russia are the ones that are messing up the world economy. So I don't think that's a good thing. Gio says he only talks clearly when he's reading off a teleprompter. I see him once even read off end of speech. That's pretty bad. All right, maybe he's not a bad reader. Maybe he's not a good reader. I'm not a good reader. Bernardo says empires will always collapse. History proves that. I do worry about that because that is true. The U.S. is the most recent example of an empire. Not saying it will come crumbling down like the Roman Empire, but another country will eventually become the biggest empire. I mean, you're probably right. Eventually, but hopefully we can hang on as long as we can, right? If we correct ourselves, because right now the way things are going, it's just too much corruption in government. Mono says Biden isn't the problem. It's the whole Democratic Party that has lost its way. Biden is closer to a centrist if you look at it. Absolutely. That's why I don't consider myself a Democrat. When you go to the upper echelons of the Democratic Party, it's very corrupt, and they're always keeping progressives down as well because they don't want to get money out of politics. They're gaining from that. They'll pretend like they do, but then they'll keep the people that are trying to push for those policies down, and then they'll vote against those policies. He tried to run for president before but didn't win because he was racist towards the people of color. Who are we talking about? Yeah, I think that was true. He did say some racist stuff. I think Biden did. You might be right about that. I did vote for Biden. There was only 2 choices. I only had 2 choices. I caught you, Bernardo. I found it. We are already in the war. It's a proxy war right now. Probably right about that because I know there was a big claim about how Ukraine used info from the United States to sink one of Russia's ships. But then the United States said, no, that ain't true. So we are kind of in it a little bit. No, we should not step in, says Sugar Shane. You're probably right. Thank you, Dennis O'Connor. Used to be, it took a neighborhood to raise a child. Now, most of us don't even talk to our neighbors. Our kids kind of stay inside or locked into the interwebs all day. I hate to say it, but that's how I am here. My kid really doesn't go outside much because there's really just not a lot of kids in the neighborhood. It's kind of we got a big yard too. If we go outside, it's just me and him playing basketball, me and him playing football, but he plays a lot at school. He just doesn't live close to any of his schoolmates, but they all play together online. They're all playing Roblox and Apex together. It's not a war, it's a conflict. Oh, I don't know about that. Big difference, so they say. Seems like a war to me. We're pouring weapons into Ukraine. That's probably not a bad thing. Russia wouldn't attack if Trump was in office. Probably because they are coordinating and they don't want to make Trump look bad, but they don't mind attacking while Biden's in office because they don't mind making Biden look bad. Now the prices go up, everybody blames it on Biden. You don't think that was coordinated there? I mean, I don't know. Have you seen the Pinta Verete on Netflix with Mike Myers, the comedian Mike Myers? Pinta Verete? I've never heard of that. Sounds good though. We make money off the war. It's all set up for money. Oh yeah, definitely. And whenever they go a long time without money or without war, and the economy's down, they will. I mean, I feel like they will purposely start wars to make money. I wouldn't say that's not 100% incorrect. I say there's a little bit of that in there. If you got to vote for you if you run for mayor of the metaverse, let's go. Is that a thing? I don't know if I can run for mayor of the metaverse. I might be too left wing for that. I'm over it. Such a lonely world. I hear you, Sugar Shane. I mean, I'm just telling you how I feel about it. That's just my opinions on it. Of course, everybody gets their political viewpoints from the way they're raised. And I was raised very poor. I did grow up very poor. I grew up to a single mom, so she really didn't instill any of her political views into me. I pretty much just kind of developed those on my own. So that had a lot to do with whatever sources I was looking at. And it was around when I was 16 or 17, I think, when we got our first computer and my first introduction to the internet. And from there, it was just pretty much researching stuff for myself. If I heard about something that I thought was interesting, then I would just go in and look at all the sources and try to come up with a decision about it myself. And it's not always correct. It's not always what the most people believe. I'm trying to think of what some of my more controversial viewpoints are. The main issue is the who mints the money for the government and charge the interest on it. It's called USURY. It was forbidden by law until they made it happen. Taxes are to pay interest on so-called debt. I never heard of this USURY. Who mints the money for government and charges them interest on it? So yeah, that is a big question. I think I've even heard comedians make jokes about it. Like, if everybody's in debt, like, who do we owe? Like, a different planet? Like, who are we in debt to? Are we in debt to China? I think that is a lot of people who holds a lot of our debt. Bruin says, Putin was afraid of Trump. Dude, yeah, right. Are you serious? I don't know, man. Let's see. Oh, let's go to that one. Oh, my goodness. Let's go to if I could remember this video, I would bring it up whenever Trump was in, I want to say Helsinki, with Putin. Yeah, I mean, do you remember whenever he tried to pretend like he didn't really say what he said? Oh my God, you gotta be kidding me right now. Let's look at this video saying that Putin was scared of Trump. That's the most hilarious thing I've ever heard in my life. NBA Top Shot. Let's go. Why are they showing NBA Top Shot on this? Oh, this is just a text. But if you remember, like, Trump completely bowed to Putin, saying that he didn't think that Russia had anything to do with trying to affect the election. And then when he got back to America, he said, no, I didn't. I said something else. I said, I didn't. I can't remember exactly what the word. Man, come on, y'all. Come on. I don't know. I'd have to find that exact video. And it's the Helsinki one. I mean, we'll find it. Let me find it real quick. Show you exactly what I'm talking about so I don't sound stupid here. It says this was a video and it wasn't. Why do they keep showing NBA Top Shot? What's going on? Are they on a marketing spree right now? Apparently they are. I like it.
Whole world watching. Tell President Putin,
watch, listen to this.
Would you denounce what happened in 2016, and would you warn him to never do it again?
All I can do is ask the question. My people came to me, Dan Coates came to me, and some others. They said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this. I don't see any reason why it would be.
And then he comes back to America and says, no, I said I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be. He changed completely what he said on that. And he did literally said why it would be. And he just sit there, bows to Putin right there. I mean, there's no way he's afraid of Putin. I think that was pretty disgraceful to me. I thought that was one of the weakest thing an American president has ever done. Keep your friends close, your enemies closer. Trump knew exactly what he was doing with Putin. Exactly. Dennis says, I get it, bro, but yo, I used to ride my bike like 10 miles just to go hang with my boys. Kids now don't know what to do. I mean, I did too. I don't know if I would let my kid do the stuff that I used to do. I mean, we used to play manhunt. I mean, I would just got home from school, I'd say, yeah, 3rd, 4th grade, and I would just go outside and play the rest of the day. And my mom would tell me, you don't come back till it's dark. That was my bedtime or whatever. I mean, that was my curfew. But I wouldn't let my kid go do that. And it's not because I think that the world is less safe. I don't know. I just would worry too much. It's probably not a good thing. I'm a little bit of a helicopter parent. We're in debt to the banks. Really? Is that who we're in debt to? The banks? I thought it would be China. That's not good. Ugh. Bio says, I live in Hungary next to Ukraine, and my father lived through the Vietnamese War. You don't want to enter war. The moment U.S. enters the war, it's full nukes war. Oh, yeah, we definitely don't want to get into anything nuclear. It's the Federal Reserve. It's a private entity. The Federal Reserve is a private entity? It says federal in it, but you might be right. Jerry says, Trump withheld military aid to Ukraine because he knew that would scare Russia. Might be true. I didn't hear about that. Putin runs one of the few places on earth that does not have a debt with them. Go figure. Yeah, really. Yeah, I think Russia and China might be in bed together a little bit, if that's what you're referring to. People who voted for Biden are the blame. This country has fallen apart. Before him, our country was doing great. Economy, gas prices is a joke now. I mean, I can't even reply to Bruin Idiot anymore. That's my homie, though. Rachel says, somebody tell me why at age of 18, men are entitled to join the Army, U.S., or use firearms and fire at threats in other countries if the government needs them, but to be 21 for alcohol consumption. I've been saying this since I was 18 years old. I've always said that. I agree completely. If you're old enough to go to war, you're old enough to buy some beer. I agree with that 100. Banks are Jekyll Island in full force. Yeah, but don't we control the banks, though? Can't we regulate them? TK says, I'm no Trump hater. However, how can anyone think that Putin doesn't run things around him mentally is beyond me. I know, it's kind of obvious. You can drink in the Army at 18. Is that true? I didn't know you could drink at the Army when you're 18 years old. I know that when I was 19, when I was 19, we took spring break in Canada, Windsor, Canada, because when you're 19 years old, you're allowed to drink there and go to bars and the casino. It was pretty fun. Started to say Trump is the only hope for us. What does he bring? My wife's the same. Let's go. Sean Bell says, meeting up at the green electricity boxes in the neighborhoods. Who remembers those good old days? Man, I don't think we had the green electricity boxes, but I remember meeting up at the light post. Everybody get at the light post, and when it turns on, it's time to go home. Bruce says, I was raised from Detroit middle-class family. Parents worked at Ford. I made myself. I always worked, even during school. Only one to go to college, let alone law school. That's awesome to hear. I agree. I'm the same way. I don't think anybody had went into college directly from high school in my family, but my mom did go to college while I was probably in middle school or elementary. She did like night school and got a degree in geography. Bernardo Suarez says, economy and gas prices right now are the consequences of the decision the government made on the past 4 years. You really think the economy's flip-flop like that? I mean, it has everything to do with the war right now. The oil companies look for any excuse to raise those gas prices, and then the gas prices raising causes delivery prices to raise, so that causes food prices to go up and every other price to go up. If Trump is our only hope, it's time to move. I agree. Bruin's not a troll. I mean, there's just people who agree with the whole Trump thing, and I want to figure out exactly how it is that you can agree with those policies, but you have to go to each specific policy. Like, what are we talking about? What do you guys think about gun control? Gun control is a big thing to me. I always feel like if you read the Constitution, I mean, I think they just didn't know how to use commas. I mean, if you read what the Second Amendment says, it basically says that this is for well-controlled militias. We're not talking about individuals. When are they talking about individuals at all? Second Amendment, verbatim. A well-regulated militia, which means which is necessary to the security of the state, which means this is the right of the people to keep and bear arms, shall not be infringed. So a well-regulated militia shall not be infringed, is what it's saying. A well-regulated militia. That's not saying that you can go buy a bazooka, you get to own a bazooka. It don't make sense to me how people interpret that to mean that you can have a machine gun. I mean, you could just look at the statistics of the world statistics of where all the gun violence is, I mean, like 500% more in America than any other place. I mean, obviously that's a problem. You got to do something. But the NRA controls Congress with their money, so nothing gets fixed. Have you read the book Creature of Jekyll Island by Edward Griffin? I've not. It sounds familiar, though. Nasara says the borrower is slave to the lender. That's true. Yeah, I try not to get. I think one time I had a credit card that had a really small limit in college, but besides that, I never have credit cards. I still to this day don't have credit cards. Debit cards only, because I'm not trying to go deep into debt. It's all about the Federal Reserve and how it started, and that is an interesting concept, and I've watched some, it's been a while though, some documentaries about how the Federal Reserve started and how they control prices. It's pretty messed up. That's not the way things should run. I mean, I think that's a big problem in the country right now too, the Federal Reserve. They got age, but I don't know enough about it to get deep into it though, honestly. I would used to. It's been a while. They got age restrictions on glue, markers, vape. It's ridiculous. I mean, do they have age restrictions on glue? I mean, I know people like can sniff it or something, but I think kids have to have it for school. But it is getting kind of ridiculous. Skateboard says, yes, Federal Reserve is a private organization. Not even U.S. courts have jurisdiction over it. Wow, makes no sense. Feds love inflation. It's why they raised rates. Probably. What's up, K? Bacon, gas, and inflation were going way up before the Russia-Ukraine war. Because, were they going up? I have to look. Let's find out. Because was it the anticipation of the war, maybe? See if it will give us any information here if we put it this way. When did gas prices in the U.S. start going up? I know that's kind of a hard thing to look up. What was the... when did the Ukraine war start? February 20, 2014. 2014? It started in 2014. 2022. February 24th, 2022. So if we look at gas prices at February 2022, And then we look at gas prices before that. So February 2022. Let's see if we can find what we're looking for. Let's see if they were going up. February 2022. Can you guys see that all right? So let's see. February 344, 328 before that, 334, 339, 319. They were slightly going up. So they were at 224 in January of 2021. And then in February of 2021, they had a 16-cent hike to 240. So they kind of went up really high right here in the first of 2021. And then they kind of stayed steady around 2.8 to 3.3. And then right here is where the war began. 3.4 is where the war began. And then the very next one, 4.1. And then it stayed at 4.1. So I would agree with that. It was starting to go up already. You don't see that big of an increase right here. It's only 0.7. And we saw a 0.7 increase earlier in the year. Or 0.3, was that 0.4 and then 0.3? So I'd say, yeah, gas prices were already going up a little bit. Pay as you go and you'll never owe is what my dad used to say about credit cards. Don't have them either. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense as long as you make your payments. But it feels like even if you make your payments, doesn't it still go against your, yeah. I think if you make more than enough payments so that you pay less interest, it actually goes against your credit score. It's messed up how that works. HD Pump says, Trump literally saved us from war against North Korea. He literally crossed the border between South Korea and North Korea by himself for diplomacy. What did Biden do in regards to Russia? I mean, I guess that's a decent point because North Korea was doing some aggressive political games, war games at the time. And then Trump did go over there, which no other president would do. You're not wrong about that. I think I would have to agree that Trump made a good choice to actually go to North Korea, where a lot of other presidents wouldn't do that. About Gorilla Glue, they carded me at Walmart. Nuh-uh. They carded you for Gorilla Glue? I didn't know that was a thing. I guess I haven't bought Gorilla Glue in a while. But it says, you're my homie, and I really don't want politics to it. Absolutely not, bro. And I agree that you still make some good points. I'm always looking for the evidence. I need evidence behind something for me to believe it. But everybody is entitled to their opinion. That's what this is about. And I don't mind sharing my opinion with you guys. Hopefully it doesn't make you like me any less, because sometimes my opinions are not always with the majority, a little extreme, I guess. Governments keep us distracted with left-right arguments, racism to cover the real issues. I do think there's a lot of that going on, purposeful distractions, especially on the right-wing side, where they try to tie in social issues with economic issues just to get them to vote the way they want them to. 2/22/22. Oh, is that date coming up? February 22? Oh, we already passed that. Oh, that's whenever the Ukraine war started. That's interesting. That's what I looked up to, February 22. I didn't know it started on the 22nd of the second month of 2022. That's kind of crazy. It's 100% started in 2014. We just didn't care about it. Well, there was a lot of posturing. I know they put a lot of soldiers on the border of Ukraine. Oh, yeah, but they took over that part at the bottom, so you're right. They did. I can't remember what that part was called. It starts with a C. But they did take over that back in 2014, I think. Gun you not to let politics get in the way. It's a losing position. That's right, bro. That's right, TK. This is, they say if the Titanic never sank, the Federal Reserve would never have been created. Fun little conspiracy to look into. Really? So the sinking of the Titanic had something to do with the Federal Reserve being created? I'd never heard of that. Bernardo says, I love you, Brewwood. We don't have to see eye to eye on everything. That's the main thing that has torn us apart in the country, insisting we all have to think and act the same. Exactly. It's okay to disagree. Everything is not black and white. There's a whole lot of gray area. People don't like gray area. They want yes or no. That's why I like math. I like math because it's right or wrong. But when it comes to politics, it's not always right or wrong. There's some gray area. Exactly what Trump was trying to get rid of the Federal Reserve. You might be right about that, Skateboard P. Was he, though? Let's find out. Did he talk about it, or did he ever put any policies toward it? Trump wanted to get rid, because you might be right. I think, now isn't that what happened with JFK, that JFK said he wanted to get rid of the Federal Reserve, and then he got assassinated like a month later? Washington Post, Trump is attacking the Federal Reserve. This is why. Have presidents attacked the Federal using such aggressive tactics before? Yes and no. But Trump is the first to run an aggressive year-long campaign to demonize his hand-selected central banker. So that had a lot to do with the main guy. He didn't like the main guy that was running the Federal Reserve. I don't know if he was trying to get rid of the Federal Reserve completely, though. Yeah, he just really didn't like that Powell guy. But after the Powell guy was gone, he didn't make any other moves towards it that I know of. He got somebody in there that would do what he wanted it to do, and then it was fine. It's fine to disagree, but it's not fine when reality smacks you in the face with evidence. Yeah, if you got some evidence, I'm all about looking it up. I'm open to evidence smacking me in the face and proving me wrong. That's how you learn and grow. Exactly, and I've been wrong about stuff and then been proven wrong before. Fish Too Much says, Trump has never had a fair shot at anything. They continuously kept firing fake scandals. Trump got made fun of for the wall and trying to take control of the border. He was the butt of countless jokes. But now, I mean, that's just part of being president. Now Biden's the butt of countless jokes. Obama was the butt of countless jokes. I mean, that's just part, that just goes with the job. You got to have thick skin to be president. Poka Pokey. What's up, Poka Pokey? Do you education high school? I don't know what that means. Bernardo says, happy birthday, brother. I'd call you if I have your number. Whose birthday is it? Bruin 88. Is it your birthday? Congratulations. Or happy birthday. HT Pump says, Woodrow Wilson, literally worst president ever, created the Federal Reserve. He wrote later after the fact saying he doomed America. You're probably right about that. I think one of the worst presidents ever is a president that a lot of people think is one of the best presidents ever. I think it's Ronald Reagan. I think the governorship of California has almost always been like a celebrity job. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sonny Bono. And then when they saw Ronald Reagan, he was one of those first celebrity presidents. And they were like, oh, we got an actor. We could use this actor to push our policies and have him act like he's like all passionate about it. And that's what Ronald Reagan was all about. He'd get up there and cry and act like he was all into it. But the whole time he was like giving the hugest tax breaks in the history of the world to the richest people and then cutting the taxes on the poor people. I mean, that was the biggest change in the gap from the rich to the poor was when Reagan was in the office. And then once they got a hold of that, they never get let go. They just keep widening the gap more and more. That's how I feel about it. Firefly Odyssey says, family is not of our blood, but those who ride or die for us. That's true. That's true. That's why the Vault fam. That's why we don't mind talking about politics. We can argue a little bit. It's the Vault fam over here. It's the VB fam. Ain't on Hell says, looks like you're on the good path to wake up. Doing live streams like that proves it. Keep going. Hey, if you got some information to wake me up, I'm all about it. That's what I'm trying to do. Hey, I'm down to learn more stuff, and I don't mind being wrong. Mono says, I liked it better when we embraced the making fun of our presidents. Remember the show? That's My Bush. I do like that show. You know, one of my favorite shows is, do you guys like Drunken History? I love watching history be told to me by drunk people, but they always have like some new stuff that you never knew about too. I love that show. I'm a big fan of that show. I think it was Woodrow Wilson that gave it away in 1933. Go read his speech after he did it. I think people talk about that too, how Woodrow Wilson had a big hand in the Federal Reserve and how it was a big problem. What's up, Rutgers? Says Reagan turned the U.S. into one big company, so you agree with me about Reagan. We got Dozer from the Comic Way in the house. What's up, Dozer? We're talking a little bit of politics. I mean, I think I pretty much went over everything now, all of my positions on all of the particular policies, where I'm sitting, and for what reasons. And most people, I think, are swallowing the blue pill with me. It seems like we got a lot of lefties in here. They call me a lefty. I guess I am. I kind of like AOC. I haven't heard a lot of her policies. Like I said, I was a big Elizabeth Warren fan. But now when it comes to next year's, the next president, I think Elizabeth Warren's too old. I think Biden's way too old. I think Trump should be disqualified because he tried to take over the country. So I'm not sure who I'm going for in the next presidency. I'd have to see who some of the left-wing candidates are. Probably a progressive because they want to get politics out of money. Money out of politics, I mean. Battle 360 was the best show on history. That was a great show, Tommy. I agree. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with me. We've been live for about over an hour. I think we pretty much got into all the stuff I wanted to talk about. But if y'all enjoyed this, we can do it again next week, maybe. Look at those are his degrees in political science. Man, I'm glad you got here late because you might have set us straight. We were talking some nonsense earlier. I didn't know you actually knew about this stuff. He avoids politics, though. That's probably a good choice right there. Rachel says, happy birthday to Bruin. Hope you're well. Sorry to hear that. I would call you if I had your number. Hope you're an amazing rest of your day. Yeah, bro, make sure you feel better, my dude. Happy birthday to you. What's up, local scalper? Also go back and listen to speeches by JFK just before he died. Also go back and listen to Trump speeches from the last couple of years. Yeah, I think JFK was onto some stuff, and I think it had to do with the Federal Reserve, and they had to get rid of him. So I'll vote for Chris. Thank you for my man. Let's go. All right, my Omi homies and fellow NFT collectors. Thanks for hanging out with me and talking politics. It was fun. We had a good time. Hopefully, I didn't make anybody hate me or anything for no reason for my positions, but it is what it is. I believe what I believe, and I have no problem changing what I believe if I'm proven wrong or just convinced otherwise. But I will, of course, see you guys at tomorrow's drop. We got a comic dropping. You can ask Dozer about it, but I have a feeling this is going to be a good comic because everybody knows who the Black Cat is. I even know who Black Cat is, Spider-Man's girlfriend, and it's the first appearance of Black Cat, so make sure you guys don't miss tomorrow's drop. I'll be live streaming it as always. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Peace.